Hello guys. So I'm currently using my mic for this live video. So I'm not sure if it's actually working because it's my first time using it. So whoever's gonna join this live video will just let me know if I've been quiet or silent all along. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna keep it going, right? So the title of this beautiful video is, oh, I actually forgot what the title is. I think I said if you can't stop worrying about your exams, watch this video, right? Yes, actually, that is the title. And it is that season. We are currently in that exam season whereby 1 minute you're like, I got this, but then the second, then another, you're just like, yo, I'm actually cooked. You have that up and down motivation that keeps coming and leaving with regards to these coming up final exams, right? And I'm always a big advocate for starting early, right? I think even last year, I'm even late. I think last year I made a video at around like the beginning of September. I was like, guys, start planning how your month, your studying is gonna look throughout the month of September, because once it gets to October, the pressure is gonna be very high, right? And it's gonna be pretty much the same sentiment with this video, but obviously with a few twists and a few added tips to that, right? But fundamentally, it's just us talking about a schedule, right? Schedule is the key word for today. If there's one word you're gonna take from this, it should be schedule. We create schedules. It's very easy to create a schedule, but following it or sticking to it is the main problem, right? And this is something that is going to affect you very, very, very much in the upcoming exams, especially if you don't follow the schedule that you have set. And let me just open YouTube to check if I'm audible, because um, I'm just okay, perfect. So you guys can hear me, but in the upcoming exams, it doesn't sound like it's coming from the mic, but it's fine as long as my voice is out here. My point here is it's very, very easy to create a schedule. It's very easy to have that motivation to say, you know what, for these upcoming exams, I'm creating a whole timetable where I'm gonna study for this amount of hours, and this is how I'm gonna go about it. But the main problem is you sticking to that timetable. It's you sticking to the schedule of actually saying, this is what I'm going to follow, this is how it's going to go. And it's a problem. It's a huge, huge, huge problem, because if we're at a point whereby you can't follow the schedule, then studying is going to be very difficult as well, right? So I think one factor that we usually don't talk about a lot is that during exam season, your timetable is the most important thing. And not just having the timetable, but sticking to it. That's the most important and most difficult thing. If I have a proper schedule every single day, I say I wake up at this time, I go to school, I come back, I study for these amount of hours, and I actually do it, then there's nothing actually stopping me from succeeding in my exams, right? But what we see very often and what most of us go through is that we have all of these different planners and calendars that we set, but then we don't end up following them. So I think above all else in this video, I just want to talk about you being able to follow the particular schedule that you are setting for these upcoming final exams. It's end of September. You should have received your timetable by now. You know when you're writing, you know when you're starting, right? But how are you gonna work every single day accumulatively, or adding on each day, such that you are actually gonna stick to a schedule? Because remember, one thing we don't want for these upcoming exams is that you just start bombarding yourself with study hours that you've never done before. You know that you've never focused for more than 3 hours, but then all of a sudden it's exam season, you want to say, yeah, I'm going to do maths for 3 hours, and then immediately after that I'm going to cover physics, I'm going to do past papers, and then after doing those past papers, wara. You've never done that before. So stop surprising yourself and saying, with these upcoming exams, I'm going to be different, I'm going to do it differently. Nothing is going to change. So the first step in this entire process of you preparing for these exams, look at your trend, look at your habits currently, look at the amount of time that you are currently spending on studying every single day. If you don't study every day, that's also perfectly fine, but note that, take a note of that, right? If you are sure that you study for 2 hours every single day, then take note of that, right? And once you have an idea of where you are currently in terms of your studying, when was the last time you did a maths past paper? Do you only do your practicing when there's a test upcoming? You know, what are your current habits? How much time do you spend on your phone? How much time do you spend taking naps? You know, those extra naps that you need that you know are unnecessary. You plan to sleep for 1 hour and then it somehow becomes 3 hours. Those things are things that are never going to go away unless you acknowledge them within this upcoming exam season. So like I said, you can have all the motivation to start, you can have all the motivation to create the timetable, but now wait again, you can plan and say, I'm gonna do 3 hours of maths from 4 to 5, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. But if previously that 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. was when you were spending time on your phone or you were taking your nap, there's not going to be a difference right now. It's not going to change, unfortunately, and it's going to affect you, and you're going to drop the what you call this thing. You're going to drop that timetable within 3 days, and then you give up, and then from there you're just freelancing for the rest of October. So most exams that I know are starting towards the end of October, right around the 25th, like the week of the 25th, the third week of October, which means you have 3 weeks and 3 weeks of pure preparation and studying without worrying about tomorrow's exam. Because remember, there are two types of timetables that you're gonna have. I forgot to say take notes, but yes, please take notes, a lot of notes throughout the entire video. If you have not been taking notes and watching this from your bed, please get a pen and paper and start taking notes, because I'm not gonna repeat these things. And if I ask you tomorrow and I say what was Ofentse saying in that live video yesterday that he posted, you won't remember a single thing because you're just passively listening. After this, you're gonna go back to TikTok and continue scrolling. So there's no point in watching this if you're not taking notes and paying attentively. Please take notes. As I was saying, there are gonna be two types of timetables that you're gonna have. You're gonna have the timetable that you're having right now. Wait, are we in term 4? We're not in term 4 yet, ne? Like the high school calendar. Yeah, I think we're still in term 3. But my point is, you're gonna have two. Are we? I hope so. You're gonna have two calendars, right? Which is the one that you're gonna use right now when there are no exams. You see how you're not writing tomorrow, you're not writing on Monday, you're not writing the day after. You have nothing. Maybe you have a few class tests here and there and small assigned assessments, but those don't count. Our main focus here is the final exams. You might have those things in between, but this timetable that you are having pre-exam season is going to be focusing on how you address the content that you are struggling with. And I'm going to repeat this. For the next 3 weeks, you are going to intensely focus on the topics that you know you struggle with, that Euclidean that you know you struggled with, that what are the difficult topics in physics that circuits, what do they call them, electricity, that entire topic, if you know yourself, right, you know what you struggle with, you know your trigonometry, you know your calculus, your application of calculus, you know what you struggle with. So this season that we're currently in, this pre-exam season, is for you to get all the help that you can get. Instead of worrying about whether you might fail, or whether you got this but you are not sure deep inside, and what is this, jumping around from one confidence board to another. Take this time when you currently have nothing going on to focus on those difficult topics. And like I said, get as much help as you can. Start with this platform, start with YouTube. It wouldn't, let me just make this point, it wouldn't be in your grade, or it wouldn't be in your curriculum if it was above you. They would not have put it there. If it was above your intellectual capacity, it wouldn't be in your grade, it wouldn't be in your exam. So you have the ability to get to the point whereby you fully understand Euclidean. You have the ability to get to a point whereby you fully get the application of calculus and the likes. Because what you have to realize is that with every single topic that you're doing, in every subject whatsoever, but I'm just sticking to maths as my primary example, with every single topic, at some point in your life, you didn't understand that topic. But with repetition, with constant practice, with hearing that extra explanation from the teacher, with seeing the memo, with doing those corrections in class, with looking at the past papers, you were eventually able to get to a point whereby you're not going to get a 0 out of 150 in the exam, right? So my point here is that you have the ability to understand every single thing that is tested. The only problem is that different content material, or different topics, or different subtopics, they have varying levels of breakthrough points, right? And what do I mean by breakthrough points? Breakthrough point is the level that you have to reach for you to fully understand your topic, the topic that you're working on. I'm going to make an example with algebra in maths paper 1, right? Your 1.1.1. It only took you about a week or a few practice lessons for you to fully understand how the quadratic equation works, right? X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'm just flexing right now. But it only took you a very short period of time for you to actually break that point and actually be at a point whereby you can say, I can never get this wrong. No matter what happens, I can never ever get this question wrong. I can never get the inequality question wrong. I can never get the number patterns question wrong, for example, and all of these different questions, you had a point whereby you got to fully understand it. However, with certain topics, such as your calculus, such as your Euclidean geometry, you still haven't reached that breakthrough point. You keep going up and then doing this and giving up along the way and saying Euclidean is very difficult, right? Not knowing that if you were to do one more question, if you were to just watch one more video of someone explaining it, that might actually be your breakthrough point. It only takes one explanation. It takes one voice. It takes one thought. It takes one person to just explain something for you to fully get all the content together and say, oh, this is how this works. It only takes one explanation. So I am trying as best as possible to not phrase this as don't give up, because it's really not about giving up, because if you have a test, your calculus today, and you fail it, and then there's another one in like 3 weeks time, you're still gonna have to study for it again, and then you have that thing deep inside you to just say, I'm gonna fail it, right? My point here is that you're gonna keep on trying. Even though you know that you're gonna fail, there's no test that you've ever written and said, you know what, I'm not even gonna try. You did, to a certain extent, try to practice. You did try to do your studying, but then you were like, you know what, this is not for me. And that's not how it works, unfortunately. You have to keep going. And this season that we're currently in, this pre-exam season, is for you to experience all that frustration, all that stress. You're supposed to get it right now. All that crying because you don't understand Euclidean, and you keep trying again, you keep asking someone else why this is like this, going the extra mile to actually, no, not mile, kilometer, going the extra kilometer to actually get the idea behind a certain topic, or to actually get the idea why the answer is a certain way in the memorandum. Going that extra way is actually going to benefit you in the end, because remember, if the first person explains to you a concept that you don't understand, let's say maybe they talk, you don't hear a thing. The second person explains pretty much similar to that what the first person said, but they simplified a single bit. Let's say this entire finger here is what you need to understand. The first person, you listen to them, they didn't say anything. The second person, they tried to explain and they were able to touch on this part. And you're like, oh, okay, but I still don't understand. So you know what, it's fine, thank you, and then you move on. But what happens is that most people give up after they understand something, but then the overall concept is still not making sense, not being aware that you need to keep going to be able to cover this part. Someone else has to explain, or ask the same person to repeat, or go to a different source, come to YouTube. There are so many different content creators here on YouTube that do educational content of this exact same nature. They cover the exact same concept, just in different voices. And what you need is the different voices for you to be able for you to actually be able to understand those topics that you've been struggling with. Come to YouTube, source the free textbooks that are available online, read the different explanations, how they are explaining it differently, and eventually, trust me on this, hold my hand, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, you are going to get it at some point. You just need to be patient, you just need to maybe crash out once or twice, but you are going to get to that level whereby you fully understand a concept. And I'm saying this from an experience point of view, having gone through that so many different times. I remember very vividly in grade 12, there's this one topic in physics, vertical projectile motion, projectile. The first week when they were introducing the topic in class, I did not hear a thing, a single thing. I went home, I tried to recap what the teacher was saying, absolutely nothing. I heard nothing. Second week, now we've moved on to another topic, but I'm like, I actually need to get this thing. I try again. I try understanding projectile. I watch some YouTube videos. Nothing. I get the concept as to where they are going with the memo, but I don't really understand what you're doing. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm getting there, but I'm not. So that demotivated me a bit. I stopped. And then after like about 2 weeks, we had our first class test. Our class test was focused on projectile. I go into that class test. No, I didn't pass. I failed dismally. It was even worse. It was a surprise test. My physics teacher liked us, surprising us a lot with tests. Went into that test. I think I got a 2 or a 3 out of like 25. It was only focused on projectile. I'm like, okay, it's fine. I guess this is one of those topics that I will never understand. That's what my mind says to me at the time. But something inside of me still says, you know what, let's try this one more time. Let me go through the exact same material. Because now remember, I've gone through a test, I've gotten my paper, I've seen where I go wrong every single time. Now I'm going back to those explanations that I started with at the beginning, that were saying do this, and I was getting it, but I was not really getting it. And then now the dots were connecting, guys, and just to say it's actually a very, very beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling that I think every single person deserves to experience, the feeling of finally understanding a topic that you've been struggling with. And I want every single one of you to get that feeling, right? It's a beautiful feeling whereby you're just like, I made it, right? And there's no going back from here. So I went back to those things that I was studying initially. I actually remember the exact same textbook that I was using, right? And me reading those things the second time, I was like, oh, this actually makes sense. And I'm looking at the mistake that I made in that test, and I'm like, it's actually supposed to be a negative. And that was another thing that used to confuse me, whether it's a negative 9.8 gravitational force or it's positive, it's going up, it's going down. I'm like, what's going on here? So I had that confusion. So then I went back as the academic weapon that I was trying to be. I went back there, I tried again, and everything was just connecting. And from that point onwards, that when I was like, actually, like, every single topic is understandable, guys. It is gonna play mind games with you. It is gonna make you crash out. It is gonna make you lose your self-esteem like nobody's business. The exact same thing happened to me with Euclidean geometry. The exact same thing happened to me with every single topic you can imagine that is difficult in maths and in physics, right? I went through the exact same process, but my my issue here was that commonly what you would see is that people give up at a certain point when they see that, you know what, I'm actually not good at maths. If I had my grade 9 report card, guys, I was gonna take it out and show it to you guys, and you so that you can see how bad I was at maths, right? I still am. I don't like maths. I'm not doing any maths right now. I still don't like it, but at the time I was forced to do it. I had no choice. So I had to actually expand my intellectual capacity and motivation in terms of my grit. That's the right word. That's the word I'm looking for. I had to strengthen my grit in saying, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm not going to give up. And that's what I kept on doing. That's why right now I don't want to talk a lot about saying don't give up, because that is not the message. My message here is that you are going to get to a point in time whereby you fully understand that concept. So during this period of time whereby you are stressed about it, you know that you have been failing it throughout the entire year, please go through your scripts, go through the questions you've written, go through those June exams, go through that paper, those class tests, look at the memo as well, look at where you went wrong. This is actually one of the most fundamental parts in actually getting the topic, knowing where you are currently standing in that topic, right? Look at how you currently think when you are in the exam room. And once you get an idea of how you think, you're going to be able to easily move into that space and time whereby you're like, okay, I know how this works. Right now I'm pivoting into that side of myself whereby I'm just like, you know what, I understand why I got this wrong, right? The memo says this, but I did this. But why did I think like this? Don't just be quick to say, yes, I was wrong. Okay, the answer was supposed to be this. But what was your initial thinking process? Because remember, it's your thinking process. In the next exam, you're going to have the exact same thinking process. So try to disengage or unwire your brain, right, in terms of how you got to that question that you got wrong. That is the most important part. So during this season, I'm just to recap on this part. During this season, before your exams, focus a lot on your most difficult topics, those topics that drain your confidence. And I'm not necessarily saying start them from scratch. You can literally start from watching a past paper here on YouTube, watching someone solving a question of that nature, right, in that particular topic, and seeing how they're explaining it. Remember, when someone is explaining something, that's their thought process, and that's what you're trying to extract from there, right, in terms of when they say start by factorizing here. That is what you should have in mind, right? Those are the main points that you're trying to extract from that video. Watch that video with no clue whatsoever. You can leave that video with no clue as to what is going on. Attempt your own question, looking at the things that they were saying, those main points that you extracted from that video. Attempt your own question. After attempting that question, it might still be difficult, but now we're focusing on repetition. You attempt the question, you get stuck from the moment you even start. 1.1 is already difficult. Check the memo, check how they solved it in the memo, move on, and so on and so on. The next question, you saw how they did in the previous memo. Remember, we're still on the same topic. You saw how they did it previously. Now in this new question, try to apply that same thinking. Okay, let's say maybe you cover 2 steps. After 2 steps, you have no idea what to do at all whatsoever. Once you get to that point, check the memo again. Note the parts where you got stuck. This is very important. Note the parts where you always get stuck, or the parts where you always get your things wrong, right? The parts whereby you know that I actually don't know what's going on here, because those are the most important parts in terms of you being able to understand that overall difficult topic. So that's about it in terms of addressing the difficult topics. Please make sure that's what this season is for. Do not just repeat on the things that you already know. Do not, this is very much the season for this actually. Do not do a past paper that by first, what is it, first sight, what is it, by first hand, just by looking at it and you know that you're going to be able to solve it. Do not do that. Focus on those questions that actually challenge your thinking. That is the most important part, especially when it comes to Euclidean geometry. Focus on those questions that will rewire your brain, that will stress you, that will actually get you to a point whereby you're like, I don't know what's going on here and I'm tired, right? And I'm about to give up. Those are the type of questions that are going to stretch your intellectual capacity with regards to that particular topic. So please make sure this season, pre-exam season, is for addressing the difficult topics and getting as much help as you can. How do you know a topic is the most difficult? Look at your previous tests. Look at how you've been performing throughout the year. Look at how it's been going. Those are the things that you're going to focus on in this pre-exam season, right? You see how in the past 30 minutes, I still haven't touched on how to follow a study schedule, because that is not the main point. There are so many reasons why people don't follow a study schedule. One of them might be you're too lazy to study. Number 2, you know that, let's say today on the schedule it's maths paper 2. It's difficult, so you just get demotivated to do it. Number 3, you have the will, you sit down, but then you have all these distractions. You have your phone here, so then you don't follow it. Number 4, you are ready to sit down, you put your books down, but then you are just mentally fatigued. You don't have the energy to keep going. You see how there's this plethora, English, there's this plethora of different reasons. No, that's repetition. I shouldn't be saying that. There's this plethora of reasons as to why a person might not follow their schedule. So take a note, like I said, pay careful attention to your habits currently. What are some of the bad habits that you know, man, I shouldn't be spending too much time doing this, but I'm doing it. I should be spending this much time studying. When I actually set a study goal, do I actually accomplish it? You know, those are the types of questions you should be asking yourself. And then once you have the answer to this, it will be easier for you to create a realistic study timetable, because now you won't be saying, you know what, I'm gonna change in this month of October, I'm gonna do 6 hours every day. You've never done it before. Stop fooling yourself. Okay, so it's all about you being real with yourself. And once you are slowly adjusting to the schedule whereby you are real with yourself. Slowly and slowly, let's say you add an hour, right? You add an extra hour. Let's say you remove 30 minutes from your screen time, right? You remove those apps that you know they drain your time. I'm not gonna mention them. Those apps from your phone, you remove them. Don't remove them now. Don't remove them immediately. First, understand why, how much time you spend on them, and why are you actually removing them, and at what point in time do you actually run to those apps, right? When do you start scrolling on Instagram reels? Is it when you're about to study? Is it after you're studying? Is it immediately when you come back from school? It's important to first note these point in times so that it can be easier for you to substitute. You know, in the place of that thing, what am I going to be doing and how am I going to execute it? So do not rush to create this amazing study schedule because you're not going to follow it. I'm going to make a very, very easy example with weight loss, right? If you're on a weight loss journey or you're about to start a weight loss journey and you set all of these daily tasks or daily goals that you want to accomplish, you're going to burn out very quickly. You say when you want to stop drinking Coke, you're going to run 5 kilometers every day, you're going to sleep for 8 hours, you're going to spend less time on your phone, you're going to eat less food, you're going to start eating salads, and all of these you're going to start implementing from the 1st of October. It's not going to work. You are going to burn out very, very quickly and give up on all of these goals, even though these are actually going to benefit you. So the point here, these are all different things. Drinking a lot of Coke, that's its own thing. You sleep, having a messed up sleeping schedule, that's its own problem. You eating too much oils, that's its own problem. And everything else, it's all individual issues. So address the first one, address the most difficult one that you know you struggle with. Start with the Coke, right? How do you fix that? Go through the steps for a week, trying to fix that, trying to address that. Once you feel that you are confident that I'm actually now not that addicted to this thing, right? I can actually survive without this thing. You move on to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, and not doing everything at once. The reason I am saying address the difficult topics now is because if you try and cover them during that period whereby the exam is very, very close by, yes, you're going to have the motivation to do it, very, very much so. You're going to have the motivation to say, this time I want to make sure I cover Euclidean. But this is what is going to happen. You're going to go up, and come down, and never get to the point whereby you break this barrier of understanding, because it needs patience, it needs time, and in that period of time, you're not going to have enough time to actually go through that, right? The moment you see that, man, this is too difficult, you're going to go down. You're going to give up on the thing. So it's important to address them now so that you don't experience this later. Because if you are addressing them now, you're going to pakatla with a YouTube video, pakatla with your teacher, pakatla with an explanation from your friend, pakatla with another YouTube creator, pakatla with a textbook, pakatla one more YouTube video you're in, right? I know that's a very bad visualization, but you're getting my point. My point is on how this is the perfect time for you to keep trying on those difficult topics, and eventually you're gonna make it. And that's pretty much about it from me. Tomorrow we're gonna be covering the second part, which is now when we're approaching exam season. But right now I want you to focus on what I've been saying here, right? Because we are at this point in time. I don't want us to focus on what should I do the day before my exam. Your exam is still very far. And right now it's time for the preparation. It's time for you creating that schedule while being cognizant of your current messed up schedule, your current messed up habits. Don't just rush to creating a study timetable knowing that there are very, very high chances of you not following it. So please, please, please make sure that you sit down, think about what you've done today. You can start with today as an example. Let's say you were supposed to study today. Let's say you had an exam on next week Monday. What did you do today? You got home from school, you spent 3 hours on your phone catching up because it's a Friday. These habits, they're not gonna go away before you address them. Every single Friday you're gonna feel like this, and then now during exam season you're gonna have a maths paper on Monday, and this Friday you're supposed to be studying. You're not going to. You're gonna spend that 3 hours again just trying to catch up on the latest news. So I've said my part, and I hope you play your part. Ooh, that's a bar. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share with your friends. That's the most important thing. I want this video to reach as many people as possible. You don't have to subscribe. You can if you want to, and you want to benefit more from this content. But the most important thing is for this to reach as many people as possible. Before rapture, guys. But wait, the rapture is and we are left behind. So we are behind, guys. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in and everyone who's gonna watch this video after. I hope you took notes, and if you were not taking notes, please start taking notes now. Go back to 00 when the video started and then start taking the notes, right? Thank you so much for tuning in, and all the best on the upcoming exams, man. Ciao.